Hi guys, good to have you here. Okay, without further ado, let's get into work. Now, this is the part 3 of this video. We've been treating this topic since for a few days now, correction of errors. Remember I told you, I don't want to rush this topic. I want to take it bit by bit so that you can understand, all right? This is correction of errors. I remember I told you students find this, this topic very uninteresting and sometimes difficult. So we are trying as much as possible to have a complete understanding of it. Okay, so in part 2, the last class, we stopped at discount allowed 784. If you have not watched this, the part 1 and part 2 of this class, please, you have to. Because if you just watch this one, you'll get confused, okay? You have to start from the beginning so that you have a body of knowledge of what we are talking about. Okay, so we stopped at number 2. Discount allowed of 784 have not been posted from cash book to the ledger. That was where we stopped in the last class. So now we're going to continue. Now, number 3 of the question says, drawings in form of goods costing 800 have not been recorded anywhere in the book. Drawings in form of goods costing 800 naira have not been recorded anywhere in the books. What kind of error is this? Remember the steps I gave you to correct an error. I gave you 5 steps. So visit the last class so that you know the steps. So we're not going to waste time on those steps now because we're trying to see how we can meet up. So now this step, this error here is an error of, it says have not been recorded anywhere. That is an error of omission. It has not been recorded anywhere in the books. That's an error of omission. Now, question, will error of omission affect the trial balance? No. Okay, so therefore, we don't need a suspense account for this, for the correction of this error. We don't need a suspense account. So now, let's analyze the error and correct it. So, drawings in form of goods costing 800, okay? Now, there are two different things about drawings. Drawing of goods and drawing of cash, they are not the same thing. Do you understand? Drawing of goods is charged on purchase. It affects purchase. Do you understand? Drawing of goods affects purchase. Okay? While drawing of cash drawings has to do with the cash book and all the rest of it. But when you talk of goods withdrawn, it affects purchase. Okay? So on the credit side of purchase, you record drawings. While on drawings ledger, on the debit side, you record what? Purchases. Now, this is what I mean. This is the error. We have this. We have this. This is purchase account. Okay? This is drawings account. Okay? Now, the error is this. In the ledger, the books, there is nothing. Because, drawings is not recorded. Drawing of goods withdrawn. You don't record it anywhere in the subsidiary books except the journal. Drawing of goods passes through the journal only. When you purchase equipment on credit, you purchase assets, equipment on credit, it passes through the journal. It doesn't pass through any other place, any other subsidiary book except the journal. The same thing with goods withdrawn, not cash, please. Goods withdrawn passes through the journal. So that is to say, when you analyze your entries, your transaction in the journal, you take it to the respective ledger. So in this case now, both the journal, both the ledger, the bookkeeper or accountant did not record it anywhere. So we are going to record it in the journal now and then pass it through the, we are going to record it in the journal and open their ledgers. So this is their ledger. So when we finish with this now, by the time we start drawing up our journal, we'll move it to journal. Remember, all those transactions will move them to journal, definitely, including this one. So let's analyze the error and post them on their ledger. Then, when we start transferring to journals, we'll move this one to journal. Are we together? So now, this is the error, omission. Everything here, nothing has been recorded. This is error of omission. So definitely, if you maintain it like this to the end, it will not affect the trial balance. Do you understand? So how do we correct this error? Drawings from goods costing 800 have not been recorded anywhere in the books. Now, purchases have asset and purchases have debit balances. Okay, so whatever that we see balance brought forward, purchases have debit balances. So whatever that will reduce purchase, because when you take goods from what you have bought, definitely you must have bought something before you can take from it. You can't take from what is not existent. Okay? So purchases, when you make purchases, when you withdraw from it, is goods withdrawn. So definitely that withdrawal is affecting purchase. So it will reduce the quantity or the amount of purchase. So that is why drawings is on the credit side of the purchases ledger. Okay? While the double entry principle, remember, every debit entry or credit entry must have a corresponding debit or credit entry. So purchases. So this is the correction. This is the correction. Are we together? Use the comment section. Ask me a question if you don't understand. Drawings affect purchase. So whatever that will reduce the balances of purchase or the value of purchase is what's credited, because purchases have debit balances. So this one is reducing the quantity or the value of purchase. So it's credited. Then this is the double entry principle. Are we together? Then the third one, sales day book was overcasted. Sales day book was overcasted by 1,000. When we say something is overcasted, that is, it was skyrocketed. It was what verbiage do I use now? It was what verbiage do I use? It was increased, overstated. It was increased. It was overstated by 1,000. For instance, if the sales has sales, it doesn't have debit or credit balance, liabilities and income, asset, expenses. So sales have credit balances. Okay. So if the credit balance of sales now, let's say it's 5,000 naira. Now the error committed here is that the bookkeeper overstated it by 1,000. So instead of 5,000, I recorded 6,000. So we have to remove that 1,000. It's an error. It will affect the trial balance. Okay? Error of what? Overcasting. Do you understand? So let's analyze the error. This error will affect trial balance. The error is error of overcasting. Okay? So this is the error. Sorry, let me change this. Are we together? So let's analyze the error. So this is sales account. Okay? Now the error is this. Sales have credit balances. Okay? Sales have credit balances. Okay? So overcast. When something is overcasted, that means the amount was skyrocketed. They overstated the amount. Okay? So let's assume this balance here is 5,000. We're assuming now that the balance here is 5,000. So what the question is saying is that sales day book was overcasted by 1,000. So instead of the bookkeeper to maintain the 5,000 down to the end of the entries, he added 1,000 naira. So instead of we having 5,000, we are using 6,000 as entries for our transaction. So it was overcasted by 1,000. So we have to remove this 1,000. So I will return back, excuse me, so that we'll return back to our 5,000 naira balance. I don't know if you understand. I'm just formulating the figures, or the figures are not here, I'm formulating it. I just wanted you to understand what we mean by overcasted by 1,000. So when something is overstated by 1,000, that is what they mean here. That sales was overstated by 1,000. Okay? So how do we correct this error? This is the error that was made. So how do we correct? By opening a suspense account. Okay? So this 1,000, we'll remove it here. Okay? We'll reduce it from the debit side of sales account. Okay? Suspense 1,000. Then sales 1,000. Every debit entry must have a corresponding credit entry. So by the time we remove, now instead of the 5,000 here now, we're having what? 6,000. It was overcasted by 1,000. So by the time you deduct 1,000 from the 6,000, you have what? Balance carried down of 5,000. Okay? Balance carried down of 5,000. So we have 6,000 here. We have 6,000 here. Okay? You see now. Let me clean this so that. So we have 6,000 here. So balance brought down 5,000. You see now the 5,000 has returned back to its normal position and normal amounts. This is the 5,000 we're supposed to use. Okay, so suspense account. Okay. suspense account. Suspense account was debited under sales. So under suspense account, sales will be what? Credited. So every credit entry must have a corresponding what? Debit entry. So this is the correction of the error. Are we together? Okay, let's continue. Use the comment section, subscribe if you have not done so, hit the notification bell. If you know we are giving value, support us by subscribing, hit the notification bell so you get notified. Use the comment section, like this video and share it so that other people can see it. Okay, let's continue. The next one says an invoice of 523 naira received from a supplier. Supplier, somebody that you're buying from. A supplier, someone you bought something from. Okay? Supplier was entered correctly in the purchase day book. It was entered correctly in the purchase day book. Follow me. But was posted to the debit side of supplier's personal account. Let's use a name here as for this supplier. Let's use Chinedu as the name of this supplier. Okay? All right. So, what account? Okay. This account will affect trial balance. Okay? It will affect because definitely it was entered correctly in the purchase day book. Okay? But when posting to the supplier's account, it went, the bookkeeper posted it on the debit side of the supplier's account instead of the credit side. Are we together? So, let's analyze this error. Are we together? So now, this error will affect the trial balance, okay? So an invoice of 523 received from a supplier was entered correctly in the purchase day book, but was posted on the debit side of the supplier's account. Let's say the supplier's name is Chinedu. So we'll have Chinedu's account. Okay? These are the two accounts involved. Because it will affect the trial balance, because it will affect the trial balance, or it will pass through the suspense account. These are the two accounts involved. Okay? So now let's analyze this error. The error is that this amount, instead of the accountant to post it on the credit side of the supplier's account, he went and posted it on the debit side. Purchases. This is the error. This is the error. Okay? Instead of this amount to be posted on the credit side, remember, creditors, they have credit balances. So this purchase is supposed to be on this side. But the bookkeeper went and recorded the purchases here instead of here. Are we together? Do you understand? We have not corrected the error. We are just trying to analyze it. Okay? We are just trying to analyze the error. The question said, but was posted to the debit side of the supplier's account. The supplier's name is Chinedu. So instead of the bookkeeper to credit, he went and debited. So how do we correct this error now? Now this is how we correct it. Let me bring this one down more so that we can be able to analyze properly. Suspense account. We are using suspense, remember, because it will affect the trial balance. Okay? So now how do we correct this error? So the amount here is 523. Purchase is 520. So we want to move this balance to this side. We want to move this balance to this side. So how do we do it? We multiply this figure by 2. So that one of them will multiply by 2. So we have 2, 523, 523. So that one of them will cancel this one. So we'll be left with this one. So we'll have to multiply this figure by 2. So we'll have 1,000 something. Let's do the math. 523. So 523 times 2. 2 times 3, 6. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 5, 10. 1,004 what? 1,046. Okay? So we'll come here. Suspense. 1,046. Okay, so we have balance carried down. 523. 1,046, 1,046. So we have balance brought down, 523. You see now, we have moved the money. The balance now is now on the correct side of the ledger, 523. See it? You know, before it was here. So after our correction now, the balance now is now on the credit side. See the balance. Don't look at these ones. See where your attention should be. Your attention should be here. This is what we are trying to achieve. So the balance is on the credit side of the payables account. Now see it here. Then remember, suspense is credited. So we'll come here. Chinedu. Suspense account is credited. So definitely Chinedu will be debited on suspense ledger. 1046. Remember, I'm just the one using Chinedu here. The name of the supplier was not given. I'm the one using this name so that you can understand it properly, to ease your understanding. So when we are moving to the journal, we will not use Chinedu, we'll use payable. Because the question says suppliers' personal account. So suppliers in general, they are known as payables. So we are going to use pay. Okay, I hope you understand. Or should I use payable? Okay, let me use payable so that I don't get confused. I use Chinedu so that to ease your understanding. Payables account. Okay? Payables account. Payable. Okay? Yeah, payable. So that's that. So we have corrected this error. Let's move on to the next one. The next one says a receivable. Now, you know, these are new terms for debtors and creditors. When you hear receivable, what comes to your mind? A debtor. When you hear payable, what comes to your mind? A creditor. Okay? So a debtor or a receivable who owed a sum of 120 naira died without leaving anything behind. This amount was written off his account as bad debt, but no other entry was made in the books. Will it affect or not? Use the comments. Okay, it will affect. Okay, it will affect the trial balance because this is a one-sided entry. You were able to, the accountant was able to write it off as bad debt in the receivable account, but he did not make any double entry. No other entry in any other place was made. You can't make just a single. Every debit entry must have a corresponding credit entry. You can't just make a single entry. When you make a single entry, that's not accounting. That's not principles of accounting. Okay, but this bookkeeper went and make only one-sided entry, one single entry without the corresponding entry on the other ledgers. Okay, so we are going to correct this error now. Are we together? Am I too fast? Use the comment section if you are not getting clarity or ask me any question. I'll be more than glad to answer you. Let's proceed. The next one now, it says, a receivable who owed a sum of 120 naira died without leaving anything behind. This amount was written off his account as a bad debt, but no other entry was made in the books. So, will this affect the trial balance? Yes, because only one-sided. Okay, so we have the two accounts involved here. Receivable account. Okay, receivable account and receivable account. Okay, no, the two accounts involved here because it was entered correctly in the receivable account. It was entered in the receivable account, but no other entry was made in the books. That means to say the double entry was not carried out. So what the accounts here involved are bad debt account and suspense account. Bad debt account and suspense account. But let's analyze this error first to know how it occurred. Okay, so 120, this is the receivable account. So definitely bad debt is supposed to be here. 120. This is the receivable account. So he recorded it here. 120, quite okay, this is correct. But he didn't pass the double entry. Bad debt accounts. He didn't pass the double entry receivable. This is the error. This is the error. It was entered in the receivable account, but no other ledger was, it was not posted in other books. So the bad debt, the corresponding account here is bad debt, but it was not entered. This is the error. So we have to bring in our suspense account to correct that error. Okay? So, suspense. We are correcting the error now. 120. Bad debts. 120. So this is the error, this is the correction. This one here. This is the analysis. This one was what the bookkeeper got correctly. This entry. But here is the error. Instead of him to this is a credit entry. Instead of him to pass in the debit entry, he forgot or something, I don't know. So we have to correct it by bringing it in, and because it will affect the trial balance, this is one-sided, it will affect. So we have to use suspense account to correct that error. Are we together? Okay, let's proceed. Let's see if we can finish the question. Then next class we'll begin to do our journal and then suspense account. Okay, the next one says, a credit note of 620 issued to a receivable was entered in the returns inward book as 260. This one was undercasted. Instead of recording 620, the bookkeeper recorded 260. So he brought the amount down. It was undercasted. The first one, the one we did, 1,000 naira, it was overcasted. Okay, we had to deduct to correct that error. We had to deduct 1,000 from, on the other side. You understand? But this undercast now, we have to add up to give us the actual amount because it's an undercast. So we have to add up. The other one was an overcast. We had to deduct. Do you get the analysis? Overcastings are deducted. Undercastings are, added up to give us the amount. So the two accounts here involved are returns inward book. It will not affect the trial balance. Yes, it will not, because the credit note is a source. A source document. Remember I told you, when an error is committed from the source document and maintained like that, it will not affect the trial balance. If it is maintained like that. But when you commit an error from the source document and along the line, you did not maintain it, that's when it will affect the trial balance. So this one will not affect the trial balance. So the accounts here involved are what? Returns inward book and receivable account. Receivable account. Okay, let's see the error. So let me bring this down a bit so that we'll have enough space. Receivable account. Okay. So the error is this: returns inward. Returns inward account. Returns inward book is not an account. Remember when we did subsidiary books? We have returns inward book. This is a book where you record returns that customers returns to you. If you sold something out and maybe they return it to you as maybe some of them are bad or something, that returns is recorded in the returns inward book. So returns inward book is not a ledger, it's a book. So you have to move every entry from returns inward book to what we call returns inward account. Okay? All right, so this returns inward account, not book. So returns inward account, ledger, does it have a debit or credit balance? Since it's an expense, it's a loss. So it has what? A debit balance because it debits asset and expenses. Okay? So returns inward is always have a debit balance because it's an expense. So returns inward book account, So we have how much here? He recorded receivable. He recorded 260 instead of 620. Okay, this is the error. This is the amount. The error here is this amount. The entry is okay. He recorded it the correct side. Okay, the bookkeeper recorded the transaction in the correct side, but the amount now, he undercasted it. So we'll have to add it up to give us the real amount, which is 620. Okay, so this is what he did. Returns inward 260. So what do? We deduct 260 from 620. 620 minus 260 will give us 0, 12, 6, 5 minus 3, 360. So we'll come here and add it up again. So we have receivable 360, returns inward 360. So we have our 620 now. So balance carried down 620. So balance brought down 620. So we have 620, balance carried down 620, balance brought down 620. So you see now we have this is where the attention should be here. So now instead of that 260 now, we now have the balance of 620, which is the original amount. This is 620 here, this is 620 here. So this is the correction of the error. Are we together? Okay, I think the last one. We still have 2 more to go. Okay, I'll try. I want us to finish the 2 so that in the next part 4 of it, we'll just post our entries in the journal and suspense account and draw up our suspense account. So let's quickly. I hope I'm not too fast. Are we together? Let's move on. So we have the next one. A payment of 130 naira for wages and salary was entered correctly in the cash book. Fine. But as 310, instead of 130, it was entered as 310. Will it affect the trial balance? Yes, it will affect the trial balance. Okay? What are the accounts involved? We have wages and salary account and suspense account, since it will affect the trial balance. But first, let's analyze this error. So, payment of 130 for wages and salary was entered in the cash book, but as 310 in the wages and salary account. Wages and salary. Okay? So, instead of wages and salary, usually have cash book, usually have debit balances because it's an expense. Okay, so instead of them to enter it as 130, they enter this as 310. Okay, so this is the error. So this is an error of overcast. Okay, this is an error of overcast. So we have to what? Deduct it. So how do we correct this error now? Okay, we open a suspense account. Suspense account. Okay, to correct this error. So now, okay, let me bring this down a bit so that we'll have enough space. Suspense account. Okay, so now instead of 130, they recorded it as 310 in wages and salary account. So how do we reduce this 310 now to make it 130? We come to this side and deduct. Okay, so when you deduct 130 from 310, you are left with 180. Okay, so balance carry down, we have 310. Okay, this will give you, sorry, balance carry down, you have 130. Okay, the total will give you 310. 310. So balance brought down 130. You see the amount now, the right amount is now on the wages and salary side, on the debit side. So see, suspense here is 180. Wages and salary is credited with suspense, so suspense will be debited with wages and salary. Okay, wages and salary. Let me make it shorthand. Wages and salary. How much? 180. So in the journal, wages and salary will be credited with 180. Suspense account will be debited with 180. So let's move on. The last but not the least. Are you getting value? Please subscribe, like, share, comment, ask questions where you don't understand. Okay? Okay, so the last but not the least, we have a motor vehicle bought for 1.3 and the payment made by check. This part was recorded only in the motor vehicle account. Okay, let's analyze this error. This is what happened. Bank account. Okay, these are the 2 accounts involved first. Okay, motor vehicle account. So this bookkeeper, instead of recording in a bank account and motor vehicle account, he recorded only in motor vehicle account. Only in motor vehicle account. So he didn't make the entry in bank account. Okay? He didn't make the entry in bank account. So we are going to correct this error by what? Introducing the suspense account of how much is it? 1.3. Then here we have suspense account. This is the correction of the error. 1.3. So this is how it's supposed to be. So bank now has a suspense entry, the credit entry of 1.3, while the suspense account have a debit entry of 1.3. Are we together? Okay, we're going to stop here. All right, guys, thank you. It's been an amazing class. This is the part 3. The part 4 and the final class will come up later, where we'll have to post our entries in the journal and draw up our suspense account. Please take note of all these balances, all these suspense, all these balances. That's what we're going to use in the journal. Excuse me, that's what we are going to use in the journal. Okay, all right, thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching to the end. Invite people, subscribe if you have not done so. If you're giving value, motivate us. You know, when you do these things, it helps us to do more. Okay, all right, thank you for your time. See you in the next class.